by now, over the last 4-5 years, a feeling has crept into the intellectual and policy, some policy circles, not all, some intellectual circles, not all, that conflict in Indonesia has become a thing of the past. That is, if it's taken seriously, it will be a very serious error, both intellectually and in policy terms, for at least two reasons, and we can give more, but at least two fundamental reasons. One, we know both from theory and experience that societies which have large-scale violence, even after a period of lull, can return to, do not necessarily, but can return to, do not necessarily return to, large episodes of violence again. Now, the fact that large-scale violence has not taken place in the last few years in Indonesia does not mean that large-scale violence is over. We hope it's over, but we cannot be sure. And studies all over the world suggest that the assumption that large-scale conflict is over in Indonesia simply cannot be made. So we shouldn't be surprised next time. No one is wishing large-scale conflict on Indonesia, but we shouldn't be surprised. We should be ready next time. For prevention, for mitigation, etc. Therefore, the study of large-scale conflict is important in and of its own. The second reason is that whatever happens to large-scale conflict, we know for sure by now that small-scale conflict is a very serious problem in Indonesia. I gave you some data on lynching, for example, a few minutes ago. The best studied lynching in the world is American lynching, or lynching in American South between 1880 and 1930. Plentiful studies of that. All of us who've studied American history and a very large number of Americans think that was a terrible period of American history. 1880 onwards, after the period of Reconstruction ends and new racial assaults are launched, virtually all over American South. Now, even in that so-called terrible period of American history, we get evidence of one case of lynching every third day. Right? That gives us 100-odd cases every year. And in the existing evidence on Indonesia alone, existing evidence on 4 provinces of Indonesia alone. These are so-called low conflict provinces: West Java, Bengkulu, Bali, and South Kalimantan, as Bridget Welch's work suggests, and something that we're collecting a lot more data on, right? That there was something like 500 cases each year between 1995 and 2004. So not only large-scale conflict that is important for study, but even small-scale conflict is very important for study because it has a clear relationship with rule of law. Why is it that in so many parts of Indonesia, when a theft takes place, when an accident takes place, when black magic takes place, or when a sexual misdemeanor occurs, the response of the average citizen is not to go to law and order authorities, not to go to the police, but to go for actually popular justice. Right? Now, this is a very serious issue, and it has to be studied thoroughly, because as Indonesian democracy deepens, and as scholars and activists work on that project, deepening, consolidating Indonesian democracy, we'll also have to think about deepening, consolidating rule of law.